Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Miami Sports Break. David Eversole joined as always by Jaccare Givens. Been a minute since we've been with everybody, so want to jump back into the Miami Sports Mix. But before we get started, make sure to check out one of our fantastic sponsors here at the Five Reasons Sports Network, Biscayne Bay Brewing. You can get your Biscayne Bay brew at your local markets at biscaynebaybrewing.com/beer finder to find them in your area. What's going on, Jaccare?
Everything is great. Happy to be back. Hopefully my man's over here is feeling better. He was a little under the weather last week.
Yeah, it was a
Uh,
rough one last week, but I'm still fighting. So thanks, man. It's all good, but lot going on, man. We picked a kind of a shitty week to take some time off. There's so much happening, but we want to get everybody back up to speed on all the stories that are going on in Miami sports. We got a lot of Heat news to talk about. What the Dolphins can now do at number 6. So much going on. The Panthers picked up another win, and Marlins are getting underway with spring training, and MLB opening day is right here upon us too.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so here we go. So I want to start out, I guess, with the Heat, obviously, with the Victor Oladipo trade. I think he's going to probably start in the next game after the back-to-back. So what do you see about the market now that DeMarcus Cousins look like he's going to sign with the Clippers out west? Shams reported today. So there's really not many bigs left out there for Miami to kind of plug into that 6 to 10 rotational mix. So
It is one out there, but I don't know how the Heat fans are gonna feel about it. If you check our main account, the Five Reasons Sports Network account, uh, you'll see that we put a poll out there. Would you guys like to bring Hassan Whiteside back on a 10-day contract? And I am actually for that. I think he would be great as a backup center. Come in and give you, the 10 to 15 minute role. And one thing about him, when he's engaged, he's a good center. And what better place for him to come back, reestablish his value than Miami? Miami needs a big. Him and Bam can play together now, and I think Whiteside is good, and I think that he will be a great fit. I know people are going to be opposed to it, but I think Whiteside would be such a great fit, man, back in Miami. That's my opinion. We kind of missed out, on some of the bigs, but I think he's the best fit out there. I think he's a solid fit. Gives Miami what they need: defense and rebounding.
I don't see the fit with this locker room and Jimmy Butler. I don't know,
Well,
man. He would probably kill him in practice in
what you
about
mean
5 minutes.
what you mean the fit in his locker room? He had his best seasons in Miami.
But yeah, but look what happened to him. I mean, you go from somebody potentially like a fringe max contract player to a 10-day contract player. I mean, that's a real mighty fall.
He was
Pretty
never
fast for what?
he was never a max player. Miami just got
No, but
swindled. He was never a
yeah,
max player.
right. So do you want to make the same mistake twice with him?
How
I
are you
think you
gonna make
close
a
that
same?
chapter.
But you're not making no mistake, Dave. You put him on a 10-day contract. If you don't pan out in 10 days, you move on to the next person. It's a
He
high reward, low risk.
Yeah, Twitter would just go berserk. I think for that would be interesting to see, but I don't know. I think with it's so interesting because of all the guards on the Heat. It's like, what do you do when Oladipo's in there? Like, what's your starting five? I mean, does Butler potentially play at the 4? And
No,
what's like?
you're starting five: Bam, Ariza, Butler, uh, Dragic, and Oladipo, Robinson, Butler,
Yeah, that's the thing. Robinson,
Ariza.
like, where are you going to fit everybody? You know what I mean? Somebody's got to go out of the starting lineup. So it's either Depot doesn't start or Robinson doesn't start. So
Depot's gonna start though.
right. So does that kick Robinson to the bench now? I
I
mean,
think he would be
who does
better.
Depot replace in the starting guard lineup?
Well, the only thing is, I think Dragic probably goes to the bench. You know,
Yeah, I don't think Butler would ever start at the 4, but I think he could play in spurts at the 4. Maybe if they're going like 3 guard,
no.
sort of
The
small.
reason why I say that Dragic goes to the bench because with Hero and Dragic, you're already defensive deficient in that second unit. So why not, instead of putting Hero Robinson in
Hmm.
that second unit, put Dragic and Hero because they play well together. As you've seen in the last year, they played pretty good together. and you just roll like that. But I think Ariza and Depot slide into the starting lineup.
So, but who's that? I mean, I don't know if that'll work because where's the two guard? Where's Duncan? Is Duncan out of the starting lineup now? I mean,
Yeah.
is it going to be none at the point? So with Butler at the 2?
Well, one of those guys are not going to be in the rotation anymore.
Yeah.
Kendrick
Okay.
Nunn to me is going to be, their spurt guy again, because without a Depot, you're taking minutes out of his hands because he needs the ball to be effective. So you just have to see how it pans out. But I think my final prediction is going to be Depot, because you can play Depot at the point guard position, by the way, now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that rotation works with the second unit. I'm
And you
really
still
concerned
got
about the defense.
You still got Bielitsa too. That's
Yeah.
going to be at the stretch 4.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be at least 10 to 11 deep.
Yeah, they're going to be real switchy. They just obviously have to be conscientious of rebounding, especially from the guard position. I think a lot of guys it's going to be like rebounding by committee, especially when Bam is not in there. Because
that's why you add Whiteside to that second unit.
Come on,
helps the defense out as well.
No, I mean I get what you're saying from a basketball. I just can't get past that he's Hassan Whiteside. I just can't. I don't know. I mean, it just to me that bridge was burned. But obviously, stranger things have happened. So you never know.
It's never no burnt bridges in professional sports. And we can accept guys who, do a lot more worse things than be bad basketball players. They do a lot of things, outside
it's not the
the
worst thing in
court.
the world.
Yes, you can remend that relationship.
No, but it's going to be exciting to see this team healthy with all new additions, obviously, and what Spo's going to be able to do just situationally, offense to defense, and things like that. Especially with the top 8 guys, there's just so much flexibility there, and I think defensively, this team is going to be just nasty, and that's going to carry them. And they can finally start to hit threes, which you're seeing Duncan Robinson. I know Brady had a great article on Duncan Robinson's defense and everything else that he's doing besides shooting and becoming more well-rounded, which is just going to be a huge benefit, obviously, especially as the second half of the season wears on and in the postseason, because you've got to have shooting to win games against high-powered teams. There are going to be teams in the postseason that are going to be able to put up a lot of points. So defense is going to, I think, get them there, but offense is going to set their ceiling, if you will. So I'm excited to see Heroes. He's come back since all the trade talk. I think that was really just a big cloud over the team. And now that all that noise is settled, you're starting to see kind of the little bit of the swag back from the team and just a little bit calmer, more confident team, except for Precious. I mean, Precious is really taking his lumps out there. What do you see going on with Precious? I mean, you think it's just lack of time and just he needs to develop more? I mean, like the G League maybe would have been a logical place for him for some stretches here.
Now the G League is a logical place for him with the additions.
Yeah.
I think with Achua, his main issue is what he offers to the game of basketball at this point in the NBA is not what he's indicative of. I think he needs more development offensively. Defensively, he's lost.
The game's
needs
fast.
he needs better IQ, and that's just not him. I think that's a problem with a lot of this generation's players. They are very talented, but they have no IQ. I was listening to a podcast with Draymond Green and no, it was The Shop when Draymond was on with LeBron, and they were mentioning how it's only about 10, 11 players in the NBA who have high IQ. The rest of those guys just playing basketball with talent, and it's true. Achua has talent, but it's like some of the things that happen, you'd be like, why? Because it's low IQ, and what he's offering at this point is not good for the Heat team. If the Heat were a better defensive team, as in the point in terms of the not perimeter, but in terms of, I would say the perimeter defenders that he had in front of him with Dragic, Robinson, and Hero, who he mostly plays with, he would be better. because it would be better defenders and less pressure on him to make decisions in the pick
Yeah,
and
he
roll.
can't be the last line of defense on a second. He can't like anchor a second unit
Yeah,
defense right now. He's
so
just too
he
out of
doesn't.
position. And I
And
mean, you want him.
he reminds me of Montrezl Harrell a little bit. I kind of can see him developing into a Trez kind of, because Montrez is terrible on defense, but he's explosive offensively, so you need that high energy guy. So Achua, just the game has to slow down for him, but as I've always said, sometimes these kids just not ready for what we expect out of them just because they were
Always.
the drafted from. So he's not ready right now, and we have to live with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, he's a young developmental player, obviously, and there's going to be a learning curve with everything else going on, the pandemic and the season, how it's set up. I mean, these guys are just kind of thrown out there, and especially early in the season, like the Heat asked him to do, maybe some different things and try to find a fit for him. And obviously now I think he's kind of sort of put himself in an odd spot. So just hopefully he can just keep sharp and ready, because with the Heat, you always have to be ready because you don't know when your number is going to get called. So just stay ready, stay positive. I think if he practices well and just keeps good habits, I mean, he's a hard worker. He's a humble kid. He's a good kid. So I think he'll be fine. He just, like you said, he needs the time. So it's going to be good to see this team sort of find their core moving forward over the next few weeks, going towards the last quarter of the season, and kind of seeing like what the potential of this team could be fully healthy with Oladipo, with Belly out there. I think there's going to be some positives to very, very soon after a tough stretch for the Heat, really, and they finally bounced back in the last one. So, but I want to switch it up a little bit because I know the draft, April's right around the corner. So Dolphins got a lot to think about. Obviously, they made that big move now, and they're sitting with the sixth pick in the draft. They first moved down to 12, and then they bounced back up to number 6. So they're sitting in an interesting spot. And a lot of people are projecting that the draft is going to be heavy on quarterbacks in the top 3, maybe top 4 picks, which leaves Cincinnati, I think, at 5 in a very interesting and advantageous position. And then Miami is sitting there at 6. So what do you think now with obviously the latest with Jamar Chase running that unofficial 4.3840? So he's looking really good after the year off. Obviously, I know we talk about players working hard if they're off, they're training, and he was definitely training and doing what he needed to do to get ready. So, what do you see the Dolphins looking at in the weeks leading up to the draft, which is going to be in about 3 weeks?
Well, at 6, it's going to be Kyle Pitts. Joe Burrow has been lobbying for Jamar Chase at 5. So I essentially think that's where they're going to go with Pitt. I think they're going to have
Sewell?
no. He wants he wants Jamar Chase,
Okay.
and he's the
There's some good
franchise.
offensive tackles in the draft too. I mean, it's a pretty deep draft for tackles. I think, like not in the first round, the high first round, but I think there's some pretty good guys in the second
Yeah,
and third
but
round grades.
at the same, he's a franchise guy. They did
Mm.
offer Kenny Galladay a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. But I just think that Chase is going to be going at 5. Then it leaves you with Waddle, Smith, or Pitts, and I think Pitts. Even though I love Jalen Waddle and I've been on record, I think what
Mm.
Pitts can bring to the table potentially, you have to take that at 6.
Yeah, he just gives you the most unique skill set, I think, and to pair him with Gesicki, there's going to be so much that they can do. He's not a liability at all in the run blocking game. He's somebody you can leave out there in all kinds of different formations, and he can line up on
But
the
I
outside.
would
He can line up on the block.
like I tell people I've been saying it, like artists moving him to receiver. No, that's
No.
not gonna work for him. He's a tight end. Use him
Mm.
how Travis Kelce is used. A lot of wide off, motion him in. Uh,
Yeah.
because what people are failing to understand, this is the highest level of football. In college, you deal with a lot of mental mistakes from the players. In the league, it's minimum mistakes. That's why the game is so clean and so it's the best brand of football. Like, you watch NFL football, you be like, well, damn, I don't see that on Saturdays because those guys are special. So moving him to receiver, you're taking the mismatches away, in my opinion, because the cornerbacks are good enough. Now, obviously, he's 6'6", 6'5", or whatever, so you can throw him jump balls. But if DK Metcalf struggles against the top corners in the league,
Mm-hmm.
you've seen Travis Kelce struggle in the Super Bowl against some of the best linebackers, Levante David, safeties. They're going to have their moments. So you leave him matched up with the linebackers and safety, he wins,
Mm-hmm.
90% of the time. But I think he's the obvious choice at 6. If Chase is gone, I think he's the obvious choice. And then you just, build off that. Miami's going to take a receiver in the draft regardless in the top 2 rounds. And you just build off that. But I think Pitts is the obvious choice at 6. Sewell a close second, but Pitts is number 6 for me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are taking Harris to the bank at 18 for the Dolphins, but to me, I like some of the guys actually a little bit lower. Williams and Carter, ETN. I mean, there's some good backs in the second, third round.
On top of that, we have to factor in this. Miami needs help defensively too. Let's not forget that. So at 18, if Jalen Phillips is there, because I think Phillips is probably the most talented DN in the draft, you can take him as a guy at 18. You never know who falls in the draft. Waddle can fall. Devontae Smith can fall at 18. So I think you just let the draft play out until the pick at 18. I don't see running back as a need right away because I feel like the running back class is deep.
Yeah, I agree with that. And running back, I think, also has not quite the learning curve as some of the other positions. I think you could bring in somebody and they can contribute from the jump. What's going on, Anthony? Thanks for hopping on with us today and everybody else for watching. But the thing about Miami is they're just sitting in such a good spot because the draft is full of players that they need. So they can just let the board fall to them. I don't think they need to make any more moves. Really, they're set up for the future with the draft pick.
I do think they do need to make some moves, as in moving some of those draft picks for established players. Now, I love the draft, but at the same time, you got to make common sense out of things. You get a known commodity over an unknown commodity. That's just common sense. Similar to the Miami Heat missing out on James Harden because they don't want to give up Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. That's stupid. You trade for known commodities. So if whoever comes available in the draft a player disgruntled, you make the trade. You don't waste time on certain things, and you make the deal. If you can get a pass rusher, you can trade for one who's established, you trade for him.
Yeah, no, Miami's not afraid to take chances on guys too. I think they buy low on a lot of upside, like you just saw with the Isaiah Watson situation. Obviously, that didn't work out, but Miami's not afraid to bring somebody into this mix. And Flores is real straight up. I see him as just a straight shooter. You're in, you buy into the program, and you work hard and you perform. You're in. But if you step out of line, you're gone. As simple as that. And the accountability is what a lot of these guys need. If they're not ready to accept that, then they're going to have to find somewhere else to potentially maintain their career. So I agree with you. I think there's going to be, with the salary cap situation, some guys that probably wouldn't have been on the block last year, the years before, are going to be available now just because of the situation and everything else going on. But no, I like where Miami's sitting. I think they're playing it real smart, close to the vest.
Now, what I will say is it gets tricky if the Bengals go Sewell at 5. Who do you take, Chase or Pitts or Waddle or whoever you may feel? But that's when it gets tricky.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think Chase's numbers are really starting to show like his elite potential. If he can do everything that he was able to do in his last year at LSU, if he can translate some of those things to the next level, it would be amazing to see. But
he's Dez Bryant. That's who like. People think I'll be playing around, man. Listen, I watch film, and you cut on the film, you see Dez Bryant. In period. And they asked him today, who you modeling your game after? Guess who he says? Dez Bryant. Watch the film, watch the tape of Dez early in his career, watch Jamar Chase, and you're going to be like, carbon copy.
Yeah, no way Pitts makes it. I don't think Pitts makes it out of the top 8.
No, Miami can't trade down from 6 and get Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, no, I
Unless
think
they trade,
unless they trade
uh,
up, maybe trade up from 18, but they have to give up a lot. But
yeah,
no, I think that they wanted to be at 6. I think they kind of saw how the draft was going to unfold. The first 2 picks, they're at 3. They're like, we could probably get what we want at 3 at 6. So they just stocked up.
Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields probably gonna be the first 3 guys.
Yeah, Fields, man, I think he's going to be unbelievable. I really
He's
do.
a
Like,
more athletic Dak Prescott.
yeah, I mean, yeah. What do you run, a 4.4?
I'm not gonna. I mean, quarterback speed don't really matter to me. I don't.
No, but it just shows his athleticism, though,
Yeah,
and the fact that he's a real unique talent. He's got the arm strength and everything else that you look for at the position, and I think he's a good leader from the big programs. You see the
I think
quarterbacks
that
from the
he.
big programs.
I think that he's the second best quarterback in the draft. Anyway,
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think Wilson is more of a like. He has more stuff to him. Like if you can get him to be the guy that he can be, then he's the best quarterback. Him and Lawrence 1A 1B, but Justin Fields is good. No,
I think
not
he's a better
good.
pocket. He's a better pocket passer.
No, he's had
Is it,
Michael Vick and him have nothing in common.
I think obviously you look at just the ability
But
outside the pocket, but that's probably it's
but Vic,
two different systems too.
people don't understand that Michael Vick had a cannon arm, like
He had a flick of the wrist and the ball went 70
yeah,
yards.
it's like he was throwing 80 yards. So I don't see, like I said, he's a more athletic Dak Prescott to me. If you watch Dak and watch Fields, you'll be like, yeah, that's who he is. And
Yeah.
one thing I like about Fields too is he's tough. He's a dog. I mean, I love him in Atlanta. I want him to go to Atlanta because I think he fits them for so many
that'd be a
reasons.
great pickup for Atlanta because Matt Ryan, I mean,
the culture of him, and obviously Atlanta's more of a black city. They'll have Justin Fields, a black quarterback. He's from that area. I think it's just a match made in heaven. And he has the weapons around him to succeed right away. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Todd
Matt Ryan's
Gurley.
not going anywhere though. He's got $63 million of dead money on his contract next year.
That don't mean he can be a backup.
Yeah, I guess you could pay a $60 million. That's crazy though. I mean, obviously you have to come in and win the job. But I would see Atlanta taking him at 4 for sure. That makes sense. But yeah, I think Cincinnati kind of holds Miami's fate a little bit as far as that option between Chase and Sewell, because I know Joe Burrow wants Chase, but he also needs to be upright to throw to Chase or to throw to whoever. And he just took a beating last year, obviously. So they've got a big decision to make. I think that the Jets, you know what they're going to do. So it's just like wait and see and take that guy that's going to really help Tua develop that the offense and be there for years to come, because Miami these next couple of years is building the foundation for the next 10. So this is like the turn of the page right now. You got your quarterback last year, you get your weapons this year. By year 3, I mean this thing should be up and running in full, man.
Miami's still in position to drive Deshaun Watson. I mean, to trade for Deshaun Watson next season.
No, it's just too much right now. I just think you got to let the dust settle, let that whole situation play out. So yeah,
Deshaun Watson is going to be in the NFL regardless of whatever the hell happens. I hope that from a perspective, you hope that's not true about a guy. Anyway, I don't give a damn if he's a professional athlete or whatever walk of life is. You don't want nobody who's terrorizing women like that. But after the dust settles, if he whatever the verdict is, he's still gonna play in the NFL, no matter what.
Yeah, there's a question here for you, Jock.
Oh, the best cover safety is the kid from TCU. Like he's a good man-to-man cover safety.
It's not a deep draft for secondary, really. No. Not at the top, especially. So it's kind of Yeah, it's a real offensive heavy draft, I think, early. But we got a couple more minutes to go. Want to jump real quick to the Panthers. They picked up another win, but had another tough injury. The Cats have now won 3 in a row, but they lost forward Anthony Duclair. He's going to be out, I think, about 2 weeks with a shoulder injury. But in the game before that, he had a real tough injury to Aaron Ekblad, the defenseman who was having a breakout season. He was in the discussion for the Norris Trophy. So the Panthers are really getting good goaltending now from Bobrovsky, and they're starting to hit their stride again in the second half. So I think with the Panthers right now, they just gotta win the games they're supposed to win and get a top 4 seed in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they could definitely make a run if they get a hot Bobrovsky in net. So I'm excited to see them in the Heat kind of get the attention on a night to night basis here until the Marlins get started. So I know you're getting more and more into hockey, Jock. You going to make it out there to a game soon?
Yes, I actually am. I want to see it live. I heard hockey games are pretty good, just like baseball. It's the same thing. It may look boring on TV, but I think in person it's always good, man.
Hockey's
Um,
tough on TV, especially if you're newer to the game, like following the puck and the movement. It takes a while to kind of be able to really follow hockey on TV, and there's a lot of whistles and stuff like that. Sometimes it also depends on the game and the situations in the game. But no, I agree. There's nothing like live hockey. The sounds of the game are really cool. Just the skates on the ice and the hitting and the puck hitting the boards and stuff like that. It's a real different game aesthetically in the arena versus seeing it on TV. Yeah, I mean they got a lot of options I think out there. There's a few the guy from Buffalo, Tyler, and right now I think for the Panthers, Yandel's going to have to step up. He's been playing pretty good, but he's the leader of the defensive group now. So I think that right now they just got to kind of see what other teams do and just hang tight for a little bit. The Ekblad injury is obviously very tough, and he's going to be maybe back in time for the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll have to see. But check us out on Sunday. We're going to have another show for the Florida Panthers, the fifth line, and we're going to go into that in more detail. I'm going to get up on the free agency market and see what's happening with that because Ekblad is really hard to replace. So I think you got to kind of maybe just bring in some guys and try them out right now. But last but not least, opening day for the Marlins is right around the corner too. So I know they're not getting a lot of love from the national media, and the NL East is really good. So what are your expectations for the Marlins this year, Jock?
um, you, I would say playoffs, but it just depends on how that young pitching staff comes about. We have one ace in the hole in Sisto Sanchez. So you have him. But it just depends on the pitching. I just want to see how the pitching pans out because I think the offense will be there, but um, the pitching is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, the thing I worry about with the Marlins is they don't have a lot of power, really, and I think they have a lot of depth and they have a lot of guys that can maybe get you some good numbers. But I just think offensively they might struggle to put up some runs. So from time to time, and I think the pitching is going to take them as far as they're going to go. But no, I'm excited to see the Marlins, and we're going to have a lot more coverage on the network about them. But after opening day, I think the buzz is going to start to build pretty quick for the Marlins. They're going in the right direction. People are encouraged by the franchise,
And they
and
made the playoffs last season, so the progress is there. That's all you want, to be honest, is the progress.
yeah, exactly. And I don't really worry about the national narrative too much because they're always giving the Marlins grief and Miami teams in general grief. So I think they'll surprise some people. They're a playoff team last year. They've got a winning culture with Derek Jeter, obviously in the front office. They're changing the whole narrative of the franchise. These moves. They just got a big sponsorship deal, which they're gonna probably get made
Yeah,
fun of with
Long
the Loan
Depot.
Depot, but I don't even know what that is. But the thing about them is at least they're starting to make credible moves. They rebuilt the farm system. They have a top 5 farm system. They have a great pitching staff. They have a beautiful ballpark. They got rid of the statue. There's so much positive. It's like just embrace the fact that the Marlins
And you
want to be
have to
good.
give G the credit because people were, you know, people were on his ass early on in
Hmm.
his thing just
He
because.
was learning too, though. He'd never been an executive.
So, but he made all the right trades.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, you look at some of the guys that moved on; they've been great in other places, but I think they had to do an organizational reset and rebuild the farm system because with those good Marlins teams, a lot of those were homegrown talents. So
Yep.
I think they have to build
The
from within.
The Miguel Cabrera's of the world, yes.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So no, I'm definitely excited to see the Marlins surprise the people this year. So we're gonna wrap things up. So before we go, Jock, where can everybody find you on social?
King Jock 24, and I just got my first Top Shot pack, so we're gonna open those live when we get them.
Yeah, that's right. April 7th, we got the latest Top Shop. We're gonna have more on that as well, and we'll be back hopefully on Friday with another show around 12:30. You can catch me on Twitter, David W. Eversole, and follow us on Instagram as well at MIA Sports Break. Thanks everybody for watching.